All right, so Peter Daniels up next. And Peter's going to give us, this is really a conservation update. Peter's been monitoring the fish passage at the Little River, the Byron Young Fish Passage. Is Byron here, by the way? Okay, Peter, looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thanks, Mike. So, let's see, get my little thing here. All right, so I'm going to be talking about alewife, although they come in a larger category called river herring. We got two different species of river herring. One is alewife and one of the blueback herrings, but mostly what we have on Long Island are river herring. So, a little bit about the life cycle of river herring. They spend their adulthood, there it is, right there. Okay, they spend their adulthood in saltwater, and they're out there with their cousins, the menhaden, which you would have heard about in Carl LeBou's lecture. But to spawn, they actually go into fresh water, which is why they're called river herring, lay their eggs, and when they hatch, the eggs, the juveniles will stay in the fresh water for a few months, and they come into fresh water. Actually, the spawning occurs early in spring, and then they'll probably leave sometime late summer, early fall, and go out into the ocean, mature. Usually about 3 to 5 years later, they're ready to spawn. And alewife can spawn in multiple seasons. Now, Carl mentioned one problem that these fish have, and that is that when they're out in the ocean, they are subject to pretty intense pressure from bycatch. And so that has markedly reduced their populations. But the other big threat they have is since they are freshwater spawners, they have to get into rivers. And most of the rivers, or many of the rivers along the Atlantic coast, which is, they basically are anywhere from Canada up down to the North Carolina area, South Carolina, are dammed. And this is Long Island, and you can see lots of these little red dots right there. Those are Long Island dams. So virtually every river on Long Island has at least one dam on it. And so looking at a little bit closer here, one of the ways you deal with this is to put in some kind of bypass. So these are fishways, and these are the locations of the fishways that have been built so far since 2008. So there's been a lot of effort to try to bypass these so fish can get around them. And we're going to focus on Peconic River right here. And so on the Peconic, we have 6 dams. And the dams with blue next to them are dams that have fish passages, so that means the fish can go, at least in theory, can get around the dam and swim upstream. But you'll notice that at Upper Mill, this dam, there's no fish passage for it, so that's red right there. Now, obviously, and then right above that, the Forge Road Dam has a fish passage. The blue is just telling you the potential for movement upstream. Obviously, they can't leap over Upper Mill Dam and get into Forge Road. But so 4 out of 6 of these dams have fish passages. So ones I'm going to be concentrating on are Grangebel Dam and Woodhull Dam. Grangebel Dam was, the fish passage there was put in 2010. It's a nature-like fishway. You'll see what that means in just a moment. And then Woodhull is one of the technical fishways. It's a type called a pull and weir. That was put in 2022. So this is that area. There's Grangebel up there. This is Woodhull down here, and this is the Little River. It's a large tributary off the Peconic River. Below here would be the estuary, right? So Grangebel's right at the interface between freshwater and estuary. Here's the fishway over here. Okay, the dam's all along here. And then here's so it looks like a little channel in this picture. And then down here you can see the fishway for Woodhull. So looking at the Grangebel fishway, this is what it looks like, all right? It looks like a little stream, right? But this was constructed, artificially constructed. And then this is the fishway at Woodhull called the Byron Young Fish Passage. I'm just going to refer to it as Woodhull. And you can see this. You can see the structure here. So this is a constructed fishway. It's made of concrete, metal, and wood. This is a top view. This is a side view. And so you have an entrance structure this fish can swim into, and then they go up this series of, they pass through these series of weirs to get to a next pool, and that gets them up to the resting pool, and then, and then from there, back one more. From there, they would go, they have to go under in a culvert, so that's up here, the culvert, to get to the exit into the upstream environment. So, so we're monitoring the passage of these fish, see how successful they are. And using two techniques. One is underwater video monitoring, which I'm not going to talk about. That's Kelly McCartan at Suffolk Community Colleges, one of my colleagues who's been working on that. I'm just going to talk about the pit tag studies. So basically what you do with a pit tag is you insert a pit tag, small electronic tag. It's passive electronics, so it's not like a battery powered. Surgically into the body cavity of a fish that you catch, and then release it, and then as the fish moves through its environment, if it passes through an antenna that you place out in the environment, the antenna will detect the tag, and it will give you the tag number and when it was detected. So we're interested in determining how efficient these fish passages are. And we have two of them that we're looking at, Grangebel and Woodhull. They're two different types of passages, so it's a nice way to compare the two's effectiveness. I've been working on this since 2015, and over that time, me and my colleagues have tagged over 2,000 alewife. We catch them at Woodhull Dam. They tend to congregate there, so they're easy to catch there. We tag them and then release them. And in the last 2 years, we tagged 397 in 2023, 295 in 2024. And these are going to be the years that are important for what I'm going to talk about, which is 2025. Right? So these are the fish that would be returning. We now have 2 antennas at Grangebel and 3 antennas at Woodhull. And so this is Grangebel over here. This is looking from the downstream end. This is the downstream antenna right here. So you can see a little loop right there. This is actually a camera box that this is attached to. And then the upstream antenna is over here, which you can see better over here. Okay? So the downstream antenna will show you a fish that is attempting to go up the fish passage, and the upstream antenna will tell you that it actually made it to the top. And then we go to Woodhull, and we have 3 antennas here. We have one at the entrance structure, which you can see up the top there. We have one at the first weir board. So this is looking downstream, but this is the entrance structure here, and then this is the first step that the fish has to go up. So this would be telling you that the fish is actually attempting to go upstream. And then the top one would detect whether the fish actually made it to the top. This is what we have overall for 2025. You're looking at the number of tags detected per day. The first sighting of alewife, so this is a visual sighting at Riverhead, was March 12th. Unfortunately, we didn't have our antennas on until March 16th. The red is telling you about first detections. The first time a tag was detected. The blue are repeat detections. So you can see that there are a lot. Much of the detections were front-loaded in that first few weeks of March. So basically, mostly the second, maybe week 1, 2, and 3 of March. And as far as return rates go, about 24% of tags that were fish that were released in 2024 came back, And if we go back to the 2023 tags, so this is 2 years later, 5% of those returned. Now, we're going to follow the pattern of detection of those fish as they moved upstream. So at Grangebel downstream, so just overall in the system, 93 tags were detected. 100% of those made it to the upstream antenna, so that means they presumably successfully passed. Of those, 98% made it to the downstream antenna at Woodhull, so most of them went to Woodhull. 95% of them attempted to pass up Woodhull. That was at the weir board. And then 30% of those actually made it to the top. Now, this is where it gets really weird, because actually, even though 30% made it to the top, we only think half of those, so 19%, actually left the fish passage, the resting pool, and went out into the upstream and habitat. Why that is the case, I don't know. I'm just going to give you an example of that right here. So this is one fish. This was one that had a successful passage. And so what we're seeing is a lot of attempts at Woodhull. So each one of these is a detection of the same fish. We don't see that in Grangebel. They seem to come through here pretty quickly. It stayed upstream for over a month, and then you can see it leaving right here. Now, I've magnified one area right here, okay? So you can see how often it's trying to attempt to go upstream right here. This is actually a downstream. This is the entrance structure. It's packed with fish, and in fact, the whole pool is packed with fish at the entrance structure. This is right below the weir. And then here's at the weir, and if you look carefully at that first weir, you'll see fish going up and down. So they're tempting, and then they're falling back, which is why we're probably getting this kind of pattern right here. So I will skip through this. This is just showing you what happens when you don't have a successful passage. So compared to 2024, this is better results. 2024, we got no fish going up that made it up to the top antenna. This time we get 30%. So that's much better. But it seems like Woodhull is attracting alewife, but they're having a difficulty moving up the weirs, and they seem to be reluctant to leave the resting pool and actually go into the habitat. So I'll stop there. Oh, this is this going to work? I wanted to show you the. There we go. So this is what happens at a pool that has lots of fish in it. And I have a student here who's actually talks about this predator and some other predators and their activity at that pool. Thank you. Okay.
We have time for some questions.
Okay.
And by the way, please use the microphone because the people in the other room can't hear the question.
Question. Do you know if introducing curves into the fish ladder makes a ladder more successful or less successful? It seemed like those two were pretty straight.
Yes. So basically having like a turn.
Yeah, curvilinear.
Yeah, so I understand why you would want to do it, because you maybe have a short distance that you can go and you want to make the incline less. But in some cases, I think generally speaking, if you can avoid that, you're better off. It depends on the grade. But I know that like at Carmen's River has a ladder that's like that, and it's not a very successful ladder. They get hung up in there pretty easily, so they've had a lot of problems with it. It may not be because of the bend, it may be because they can't figure out where exactly the ladder starts because there's so much flow coming from the actual spillway. But yeah, so I'm not sure. I think the grade is supposed to be what's important.
I have a quick question. Sorry, I already got the mic.
Yeah.
So my question, I know it's not in your slides, but what about the one at Forge, the Alaskan one? Which one would you say is better, the
Well,
Woodhull
we
or
don't-
the Alaskan?
We don't know whether it's good or not because nobody's monitoring it, so I can't say. And I would imagine right now there's no fish going there because remember there's a dam right below it that's
Yeah,
not
the
letting
red
it-
area. Are there
Yeah.
plans to get rid of that dam so that it could be
My
free-flowing?
understanding is, yeah, it's proposed, and it's just a matter of time, I assume. And then that'll open up the entire area, at least for some fish.
And then, final thought, with that Alaskan, I know in Yaphank, they created like you showed, like a natural one.
Yeah,
It's like a
yeah,
waterfall.
that's-
Why didn't they, I'm wondering why they don't do that more often, because I know they did it in Yaphank, and,
Yeah, so
because
that's...
the velocity of the water, it
Oh,
seems
yeah,
to
so
shoot them right back.
It looks pretty fast there, although according to the measurements we've taken, they should be within range. This is a question for my U.S. Fish and Wildlife colleagues, because they're the ones who designed it, and they probably know why it is. Well, they should be able to figure out what it is. I mean, I think what happened in 2024 when we had none is there was a lot of rain that year, and it was just completely. It actually flooded the area, and the flow rate there was really high. And last year it was better. All right, it's more like a normal season, so we got a little bit better results. You can adjust. There's boards in the entrance that you can raise or lower, so you can adjust the amount of flow coming in. Right now, I have it set up so it minimizes the amount of flow, and we're still having this problem. So, I mean, it's obvious they're attempting it, but they're just not making it all the way up.
Okay, we have to move on.